He is the newest candidate to jump into the 2012 GOP primary race, but he is widely considered now the front runner. And Texas Governor Rick Perry, he'll join me in just a moment. He has spent the past few weeks attacking the anointed one on everything from Israel to the economy. But tomorrow, he will turn his attention to the 8 Republicans that will join him on stage at the GOP debate in Orlando. We'll be there, hosted, of course, by the Fox News channel. So what is his strategy heading into tomorrow night? Joining me now for an exclusive interview, the Texas governor, GOP presidential candidate, Governor Rick Perry. Governor, welcome to the program. Good to see you.
John, it's good to be on your program again. Thank you, sir.
Well, we appreciate you being back. All right, it looks like things are getting heated. Last couple of debates and a little back and forth even today in the last couple of days between you and Governor Romney. Is it personal or is it business?
Oh, it's business. Listen, I just think it's important for the people of America and certainly in the Republican primary to see the clear differences that the candidates have. And we need to nominate someone who will have a stark, clear difference between the Republican nominee and President Obama. And I think I am that person who can clearly delineate the differences. We don't need to nominate Obama light. We don't need to nominate someone who's going to blur the lines between President Obama and our nominee. This election is about the future of America, about who's going to get America back working again. And I think I can handle that part of the job creation side of it as well as anybody that's going to be on that stage tomorrow night.
All right. Well, do you think that some of the other candidates, I mean, that's a pretty rough term if you're going to say that maybe some of the other candidates are Obama light. I mean, I think that's the worst thing you could call me. Hannity, you're like Obama. I don't think I'd like that.
Well, I think it's important that we have a clear distinction between any of the candidates. And when you take a look at what Mitt did from the standpoint of Romney Care in Massachusetts, you're going to have a hard time finding a difference between Obamacare and Romney Care. I mean, that's just the facts, and there's no way around it. The facts are the facts.
Right, but do you not, he's made a distinction, a federal mandate and what the states do on their level. And he's explained it to me in interviews, and he explained it in the last debate that you were in. Do you not buy that distinction?
Well, I think the real clear distinction is that he stood up and said that on the O'Reilly factor, that one of your Fox programs, that it was the right thing for Massachusetts. But it wasn't the right thing for Massachusetts. A Beacon Hill study that was out just this last week said it cost 18,000 jobs in Massachusetts alone, and the total cost of Romney Care was $8 billion. Now, think about what that will mean across the country if Obamacare goes into place. If it costs 18,000 jobs, basically the same type of program. And he said it was the right thing for Massachusetts. It wasn't the right thing for Massachusetts. It's a job killer. Yep. And we need to repeal it in its entirety.
Well, and by the way, and for the record, he supports repealing Obamacare, which look, I'm going to let you guys get into that tomorrow night. Let me ask you, because I have in front of me, and I actually printed it out, the issue keeps coming up, and I'm sure it'll come up in tomorrow's night's debate, is about your position on Social Security. You use the term Ponzi scheme, but it goes a lot deeper than that if you actually read it in its full context and in the book here. And you conclude, obviously, that this is going bankrupt. You walk through the history of Social Security. People wouldn't receive it until they're 62 at a time when most people were expected to die at 60. That was actually a surprise to me. I didn't know that. So I guess the question is, where are you with Social Security now? There are some people that think that you're basically saying it ought to be repealed. You seem to be given a different message in these debates, and I think it might be good if you can clarify what you want to do with Social Security right now.
Yes, sir. Well, the most important issue is that anyone who's on Social Security or is approaching Social Security age and have made plans for their retirement with that Social Security in mind, it will be there for them. And for anyone to say that it's different than that that's the old tactic that the Democrats used back through the years to try to scare the senior citizens, and that's irresponsible. If anyone on that stage, that's a Republican and wants to be a Republican nominee, is trying to scare our seniors with this issue that somehow or another I'm going to do away with Social Security, that's just not appropriate. It's irresponsible. Here's what we know. that the program as it is set up today is not going to be viable in the future for our young people. Those kids know what a Ponzi scheme is. It's you're paying into something, and it's going to be the ones that pay in first, and there's not a payout for them when their time comes. Kids know that. 25 to 36-year-olds know that that program's not going to be in place. So let's have a grown-up conversation. Republicans have identified that Social Security is wrong. A lot of Republicans, including Paul Ryan, has said the same thing, that it's broken and it's got to be fixed. And I agree with them. I agree that this is a Ponzi scheme for our young Americans, or for that matter, mid-career professionals. So are we going to raise the age of which people become eligible for it? Are we going to allow the young Americans out there that are working to have private sector account type options? All of those are appropriate conversations to have. But the key is those that are on Social Security today, those that are approaching the age of being eligible for Social Security, you don't have a thing in the world. We made a sacred pledge to you that it's going to be there and it's going to be fully funded. Don't buy into the scare tactic. Yeah. Let's talk about how Republicans are going to fix Social Security for the future of this country.
All right, well, I think this is an important point. It's interesting because if people would actually read your book, they'd find a lot of, I think it goes a lot deeper than what happened here. You actually said, now if you say Social Security is a failure, which you did say when you wrote the book, as I have just done, you'll inherit the wind of political scorn, all of which predictably has happened. Seniors might think you want to cut their benefits that they paid for. A new culture of do something. It is now trumps any constitutional restraint and feeds the political beast in Washington. So I hear what you're saying. You're going to save it for those that are on it, those that are reaching Social Security age. You say it's a sacred promise. What about for future generations? Would you consider another system, or do you want to just fix that system?
I think we ought to have a conversation. Is there a better way? Are private accounts an appropriate thing for a young American to say, you know what, I'd rather manage this account myself. I'd rather put the dollars in there and manage the account myself. There may be some other young workers out there that say, you know what, I don't want to mess with that. I'd rather the government run it. I know it may not be as much money, but I don't want to have to worry with it. I don't want to mess with it. I don't want to, whatever it might be. Do we need to means test it? Do we need to talk about phasing in, if you will, the age upward, so that, I mean, obviously we're going to live into substantially older age than what was
I'm going to live a lot longer than liberals would like,
was first
Governor.
put into place.
Well, the life expectancy, this was a good point, too. The life expectancy when they created the program, as you pointed out, was 60. Your benefits didn't kick in until 62, so this was, from the very beginning, not designed to extend, decades out into people's lives. So what you'd like to have a discussion about, just to get this straight, is options, choices for younger people, save it for the older people, and I want to make sure I'm clear here, means test perhaps, put that on the table, raising the retirement age on the table, opt out, is that an option for people? Totally?
Well, opt-out is an option for some state employees in some states, and we've talked about that in the book as well. That Galveston, Brazoria, Matagorda County, and Bobby Jindal, and over in Louisiana, they've had some good luck with that type of program with state employees. You have to define very clearly with state employees or retired state employees. That's what we're talking about here. Those ought to be some conversations that we have. This ought to be about giving people options. And I'm all for that, and I think the American people understand that now. Marco Rubio, he talked about this in his campaign. Rod Johnson talked about this in his campaign. Both of those individuals in the United States Senate today. So you can have this conversation. It no longer is that third rail that no one can talk about. As a matter of fact, I think Americans appreciate people being honest and upfront with them about Social Security.
It's interesting. I hope you're ready for this, because if you were to get the nomination, you remember when Paul Ryan talked about Medicare, they had a Paul Ryan lookalike throwing grandma over the cliff. So are you prepared for the demagoguing that comes along with this?
I've been doing this for a pretty good spell, running 3 times in Texas for governor. We've caught a lot of javelins, so, but I think Americans are just ready for someone to look them in the eye and say, listen, here's the truth. Here's the straight up about what's happening in our country. And they want someone that can get this country back working again. And I'm not talking about just working to make government work. I'm talking about getting the private sector back, creating the jobs and the wealth in this country so that we can truly get America working again.
All right, we're going